Kevin Durant, introduced by the Phoenix Suns, will not play tonight when they face the Clippers, but he should be back after the All-Star game with the Suns, so that'll be great. We'll see if they can make a push for the Western Conference Championship. But he spoke today, Rob, and he said, Kyrie kind of set everything in motion when he asked for that trade. Here he is.
Yeah, I was upset that we couldn't finish. I thought we had some good momentum. We were finally building the culture that we always wanted. Every game we were building our chemistry. But I didn't know what was going on with Kyrie and his situation with the organization, so I didn't really focus on that. I only focused on what we were doing on the court, and it was a blow to our team. It just took away our identity. He was a huge, huge part of what we do. His game, he's a Hall of Fame player, a great, great player that can do everything on the floor, and we relied on that. So without him, we didn't have a clear identity. So that was tough for me to stomach, and I love playing with those guys throughout the year. I felt like we had dudes that were stepping up and doing stuff that they didn't do on their previous team. So I enjoyed everything about it, and it was tough to not finish the season, but, I just tried to move forward as quickly as I can and try to figure something out for myself, but also still focus on trying to rehab and get back. So it all happened so fast, but I'm glad it worked out this way.
First of all, Rob, I'm going to say this. Props to Kevin Durant. I mean, that's a very solid and seemingly honest answer. I mean, Rob, you and I watched them. They were 18-3 at one point. KD is sitting there saying, we had a shot.
Right.
We had a shot.
They were playing great basketball.
Absolutely.
Jacques Vaughn had them playing. Defense was better, Chris. You just said it. 18-3. They were the hottest team in the NBA. They had the second best record in the league when KD got hurt. And Kyrie threw a hand grenade. They went from that to irrelevant. I mean, that's sad. That's
and KD
sad.
is right. As great as KD is, you need somebody else. LeBron needed somebody else. Everybody needs somebody else. And with Kyrie, your other players are good, but Kyrie was at his second star. And Ross, so I'm going to ask you this, and we both like Kyrie, and we have respect for his game, obviously. But I'm going to throw this out to you. I think it's undeniable. Obviously, there are many reasons that this didn't work out in Brooklyn. Injuries being a huge one, not only to Kyrie, but to James Harden and to Kevin Durant. But Rob, I think this, at the end of the day, why they didn't even, because it's not only that it didn't work, Rob, they didn't even get a shot.
Right.
I guess the 1 year when they played Milwaukee in the second round, but even then they weren't healthy.
No, they got, two of the three pieces got hurt in that series.
So I'm going to say, and I want your view on this. I think when KD saying Kyrie, once he asked out, it was like over. So, hey, I had to move on. James Harden, Rob, why did he move on? Because Kyrie wouldn't play with the vax. Remember when Kyrie they started allowing him to play the road games? And Harden was so excited.
And Harden even said, I'd give him the shot. Do you remember the quote? I'll give him the shot myself.
It was clear, Rob, that Harden thought he's going to get the shot.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, now he's playing. He's going to get the shot, and we'll be off and running. And once he saw that it became evident, no, he's not going to get the shot, and he's just going to play road games, then Harden was like, I'm out. So, Rob, the reason Harden is out of Brooklyn, Kyrie. The reason Durant is out of Brooklyn, Kyrie. I think it's undeniable.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, there's no other way of looking at it. Every step of the way, it was a landmines, Chris, that blew up. And, they didn't even know what he was going to do. And when you feel like you can't count on a teammate anymore, like him and Durant went there together. They're really close friends. But I'm sure Durant even feels like I was led astray. He won't say it publicly.
Right.
But I came here with this guy. This was his idea to come back to the team. That Kevin Durant had no ties to Brooklyn.
I think he was
going
to go to the Knicks, Rob.
Right.
If
Kyrie, because he wanted to come to New York. I do agree with that. But Kyrie was like, play with me in Brooklyn. It's the same thing. And you know what I mean? You're in New York. If we win, it'll be big or whatever.
And
this
you know it
franchise
wouldn't.
Never
That's
won.
the thing, Rob. They would have found out quickly. Yeah, it's nice you won a title, and nationally it would have been a big deal. But in New York, it would have been
but
nice.
Nationally they would have got a lot of attention.
Nationally, it would have been huge.
It would have been huge for them. Right. Well, because people are still. And then the Nets, I said before, Chris, we both covered the Nets when they were in New Jersey. When they went, you covered them when they went to the finals, right? Weren't you the beat writer?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't the beat writer at that point,
but you were
I
covering the
covered
league.
them. Yeah.
But you covered them, and
for the time,
I'm telling you, nobody in New York had their TV on for the NBA Finals. I'm not, and
they
I'm not
were
exaggerating.
selling out some of those playoff games, right? And I used to
Nobody.
always say this because you went to those games, man. Not only were the Nets great, they were exciting. They were as exciting as any team in the league in a long time. Jason Kidd, Rob, they would come to the Garden. They'd have Kenyon Martin, Richard Jefferson running
put
the
on a
floor,
show.
Kerry Kidd. Yes, they would take over the Garden. Kidd was throwing alley-oops from like half court almost. And, I mean, it was a dunk fest. And I used to say, man, if that team was the Knicks,
Oh, God.
Rob, they would have been one of the biggest stories in the NBA.
No doubt about it. And I covered the Nets for like 3 years in New Jersey, Chris, over there on exit 16W off the New Jersey Turnpike.
Yep.
We all drove that route.
God.
And anybody who was a basketball writer in New York, just for FYI, we all covered the Nets. Everybody.
That was the entry-level beat, because that's how they tested you to see if you could
go on
compete
to
in the
cover
New
the
York
Knicks.
market. Right.
Exactly. So the Nets were where a lot of people went through. But, Kyrie just at every turn there was always something. And last year could have been with Harden still there if it wasn't the COVID and if he would have gotten a shot and would have been able to play. And that threw the season in flux. And then he, with all the film on Twitter or Instagram, the documentary, Chris, that whole controversy threw things in. And then they get it together, run off 18 out of 21, fun to watch, interesting. You're like, this is what was supposed to be happening. You know what I mean? Like, and then he's right. Kevin Durant's right. Some of those younger players were coming into their own. Claxton, Chris, was a good player. Yep. Not great, good.
But
that's all you need him to be.
You got 2 stars, and you had some good players around him. And, Rob, I'm going to say this. Even if Kevin Durant didn't get hurt and they were still rolling. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Rob, I still think Kyrie would have asked out.
I agree. And that was because, Chris, once he was named to the All-Star team, I think that's where he was like, okay.
Really?
Yeah, I do believe that.
You think he felt, okay.
Yeah, like empowered. Like, I'm an all-star. Look what I went through, and they can't deny me. I played great. Still voted for me.
Right.
Fans, right. Because it's 50% fans, right? And then players, 25 in media. They voted for me, and I'm a starting all-star. And he was playing well. He was playing well. So he looked at that, and he was like, I can't go to free agency. I don't want to go to free agency because there might be a number of markets that won't take me. And so he had to force the issue. And that's what it was.
I wonder, I agree. That's an interesting point. It makes sense that once he was voted as a starter on the All-Star team, he may have started thinking, you know what, everybody talking about my market value is crushed. They still voted me a starter, right? So I actually think, Rob, if that's the case, then he may have felt like, oh, I can demand a trade and there's going to be suitors all over the place. Everybody's saying, oh, only the Lakers would take me. No, there'll be a ton of teams. And let's keep it real. Phoenix wanted him. Dallas wanted him. I'm sure Miami probably registered some interest. The Lakers obviously wanted him.
LeBron almost cried that he didn't get him, you know.
I just wonder, Rob, like this, what Kyrie did, and I believe Durant, that as close as he and Kyrie are, I kind of think they just keep their business. They're friends, but they, you know what I mean? They keep their business. I don't know, right? I didn't like it. Maybe Kyrie really had a back injury, back spasms or whatever. He missed his 5th game with the Mavericks. I ain't really like that, Rob. And now, again, maybe it's a real injury, but to
what
me,
are you thinking?
it's your
thinking,
5th.
What
I'm thinking like it was rest. Honestly, I'm thinking it was rest. Like they all, like half the players and the stars in the league do nowadays. I think it was rest. And I'm like, why are you resting? You have the whole, I bet you he plays an All-Star game. You have the whole All-Star weekend. It's like over a week, right?
Right.
And that game was a few days ago. They would have had more than a week to rest your back. You and Luka need all the court time together you can get. You have to impress the Mavericks, like, to show them that they're going to want to have you long term.
And not just playing, Chris. Everybody knows you can play. It's not just playing.
Right. And maybe the doctor said, hey, why don't you take the night off, whatever, you've been going. I don't know. But I just didn't like it, and I might be wrong because maybe it was a real injury. But I don't know, Rob. The track record on Kyrie it says something's going to go wrong. I hate to say it, but so we'll see.